So I want to share a couple of thoughts on Rosh Hashana. And I think, when we talk about Yomim Noraim, awe-inspiring days, it should really mean that the experience we have over the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, including Chag HaSukkos as well, should be something which inspires us. It should be something which inspires us in a way which is like we're in awe. And, we take a step back and we reflect upon, what the Yom Noraim are all about. And I think if we fail to do that, and if we just say, wow, I had a great Yom Tov because my family was there, I had a great Yom Tov, my mother cooked a great meal, it's nice, but that's really not the essence of what Yom Tov is all about. Yom Tov is really about our relationship to our Kadosh Baruch Hu. So I was thinking about what might be an important, I think, practical way for us to elevate ourselves and get more out of the Kedushas HaYom and the Yom Tov in a very practical way, and something that we can, put into practice. So here's what I was thinking about, and I preface it by saying, and I know I've mentioned this to some of the guys, the whole idea of tshuva is the idea of, the Rambam says tshuva has to be l'fnei Hashem. Right? A person confesses what they did wrong, l'fnei Hashem, which means to say it's about a reconciliation about our relationship to our Kadosh Baruch Hu. And to give a bad example, because you can't compare our Kadosh Baruch Hu to the Basar Badam, imagine if when you become of age of driving, some already there, some not yet, and your parents give you the car, and they say, okay, you can have the car on the condition that, whatever it is, you're home at 10 o'clock, you don't go, on a highway, you don't go over the speed limit, whatever the case may be, you don't take XYZ in your car, and you violate that, and your parents find out about it, they're going to be pretty upset, not just because of the car, but there's a breach of trust. So I think we all can relate to that. When there's a breach of trust in a relationship, how it impacts on us. We kind of feel really bad in terms of the fact that I did that, and as a result, my parents, my Rebbe, my teacher, my boss doesn't look at me the same way. It's disturbing, and it should be disturbing to the point that we hopefully work on correcting it. So you can't even multiply it by a factor of 1,000,000, but that's what goes on with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. I mean, not that Hashem is angry because he doesn't feel personal anger, but we have broken what we should have done. There's a breach in our relationship between us and our Kadosh Baruch Hu. So I think it's in response to that we should really, think about, whatever we did, what we could do to improve ourselves, and it's really with that in mind. So I noticed it this morning at Slichos, early morning Slichos, and it says as follows. We're going to talk about the Pismon. The Pismon is what's repeated between the Chazan and the Tzibor. There's the one at the end of Ulai Yirachem. So we say, Ulai Yirachem, K'vushay Panim, Hashomim Cherpasim V'lo Meshivim Ba'onim. Which means, hopefully there should be atonement for those people that listen to being rebuked, embarrassed, Shomim Cherpasim V'lo Onim, that we hear it and we don't respond. So I think that's a good place to start. What's that all about? So I think we've all had experiences in life where someone, does something to insult us, to embarrass us, they wrong us, and what are the normal responses? So I think different people respond differently, and I think this is something we can all, all relate to. Sometimes we get mad. I remember once when I was doing a rotation at a hospital in Cleveland, Urine Road Hospital. So my job that month was to stitch people up. Okay? So a guy comes in, I can't call him a gentleman because he wasn't of the highest caliber individual, and had to stitch up his face, okay? Because he got into a fight with someone who broke a bottle and used the bottle to cut his face up, right? Rabbi Why, you could relate to that, right? So he said, as soon, not you, but the street stuff. But he said, as soon as I get out of here, okay, I'm gonna clean up what he said, I'm gonna kill that guy. I was like really scared. This guy's going to kill someone. I said, why are you going to kill him? Because he messed up my pretty face. Okay. And I went over to the security officer. I said, listen, this guy, when he gets out of here, I'm going to stitch him up really slowly. But when he gets out, he's going to kill someone. He said, we can't do anything until he kills the guy. After he kills the guy, they'll call the police. But before him, you can't go over and follow the guy around. But the point is, that was like a really out there reaction. He's ready to kill a guy because someone, did something to him. So I think that would be the extreme. Other people may get angry at that person and do nothing. We may want to take revenge, which certainly is not proper in halacha. But in today's slichos, it says, don't respond. Shomim cherpasam, v'lo meshivim. V'lo onim, you don't respond. So what's that all about? And what's the expectation they have? So I think here too, I'm trying to dissect it in a practical way, which we can relate to. Someone does something to you, and you don't respond. It may be a parent, it may be a teacher, it may end up being a boss, it may end up being someone, a good friend, a spouse in a future relationship. So I think number one is you may think, well, you know what, I really want to say something, but I'll hold my lips because it's not smart to respond. I'm going to make the other person, I think I'm right, I think they're wrong, but if I say something, it's going to make things worse. Okay, so that's number one. The other thing is, it seems you can take this to mean that I don't care what they say, it's irrelevant. I'm not going to answer them, you know what, because who are they to tell me? So that's another type of reaction. I'm not going to respond because I think it's below me to respond. Another thing, of course, a person can get depressed and simply, not respond because I don't know what to do, so I'm all upset about it. But I think in all of the above, it implies, assuming that there's something valid that the person is saying, there's an inability to take criticism. Because I think the response should be, part of it should be, hey, wait a second, what are they saying? Maybe they said it the wrong way, but maybe they're saying something that I practically can fix, and I should fix for my benefit. Okay, that's number one. And number two is, let's say they're saying something which is totally false, and I know it's false. So, Shomim cherpasim v'lo meshivim means to say that I don't care what they say, not because I have a sense of moral indignation. It's irrelevant. I know who I am. I have a certain sense of confidence, and my confidence is not dependent upon what others think about me. So I think that's an important thing as well, because if we're honest with ourselves, and I think this is a key point in the Rosh Hashana process, each one has to weigh on the scale. Is it a 0? Is it a 1? Is it 100? To what extent do we really care what other people think about us? And more importantly, to what extent do we change our actions to accommodate what we think other people want us to do? Okay? And I think all of that is unhealthy, doesn't lead to happiness, and it's something that I think is being implied here. The reason I don't answer is not because I'm angry, it's not because it's not politically smart. I simply don't care. In other words, if I'm doing the right thing, I'm doing the right thing. It's irrelevant to me what another person thinks, and if what I'm doing may not be popular, if it's the right thing, I'm still going to do it. So I think that's one aspect of, dealing with the situation. And you can think about many things that have many manifestations. A lot of times you want to go somewhere, you're going to an activity, you're going to a shiur, you're going to a minyan, you're going here, you're going there. And usually, I hear people, well, how many people were there? Implying that if a lot of people are there, then it's validated. If no one's there, it doesn't mean, then it's not important. That's distorted, that's really not a right way of thinking. Because if there's something of value, something you gain from, I'm talking certainly in Torah or another area, the answer is you should go. The fact that no one else wants to give tzedakah, get involved, do a chesed, doesn't mean it becomes less valuable. So I think we should start thinking about those types of things and realize that our relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and everything we do shouldn't be based upon social pressure, should be based upon what's right and what's wrong. Now, also interesting is the implication of the statement is that we don't, rely on what other people say. Rosh Hashana is really about the idea of Malchus Hashem, and I think it's easy to pay lip service to, Hashem Melech, Hashem Molach, Malchios, Zechronos, Shofar, wonderful stuff. But there's another implication there, that when we say Hashem is the Melech, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, the Melech, it means to say that we really are dependent upon Him. And I don't know how much we really think about that and how much we feel it, but it's something that we should start to begin to reflect upon and hopefully internalize. And I think one of the themes of the shofar, which perhaps we've spoken about in the past, is this idea. Because when it comes to davening, it shouldn't be, I davened 2 hours Shemona Esrei with such kavanah. Yeah, good, we should. Get an English sitter, read it in advance, try to do as much as you can. But Rav Soloveitchik mentioned that the idea of blowing the shofar in tefillah sends a philosophical message. It's not just the technical performance of a mitzvah. I heard the 30 kolos. I was yotzei the mitzvah. Of course, you have to. But it also means the shofar symbolizes the inability of a person to speak. It's a cry. And I think we all know when something really terrible happens, we cry. It's okay. We're allowed to cry. Let me say, I cry because I'm helpless. I can't help it. I can't do anything about it. So we turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu not just by talking and saying, you are the Melech, implying that I'm not, implying I'm just Basar V'dam. and I'm not as smart and strong and rich and healthy and powerful and whatever as I think I may be. But the answer is, I need you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we do that, A, by talking, and B, through expressing it through the shofar. So I think that's another important aspect. So the connection in both cases really is that a person should, learn, I think important for us, a true sense of humility, and and hopefully reflect upon that. One last aspect. Same in Slichos, and we say in the davening also. Zocher Chasdei Avos. We talked about right at the end of the Slichos also. We ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu the exact language. It says, "You Hashem." He says, should respond to us, Moron Hashem. Avid do bedil kayama digzart alabasana. In other words, in accordance with the commitment and the promise he made to our avos. So I was thinking about that. And again, the idea is to say sleepless and try to reflect upon it. I know how many guys here have a connection. If your father knows someone, you get a job. Well, I got a job in law firm. I know a lot of our alumni, graduates have got jobs, and sometimes it's a connection because my father's in real estate and he knows a guy, so he gave me a job in his real estate firm. My father's an accountant, my father's a doctor, he gave me a good internship at a surgeon's office, whatever. So I'm sure everyone will utilize that, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. And oftentimes you read about cases that people are actually good to Jews because their son, their daughter, their father had a good experience with the Jew, and as a result, I like the Jewish people, I'm going to do something. But the question, how long does that carry on? But think about it yourself. Someone does a favor to you, your sibling, maybe you're into Hashem, your kid, so you feel a sense of hakar satov. How long are you going to repay that benefit? 1 year, 2 years, 1 generation, 2 generations? Usually by a grandchild, by a great-grandchild. Yeah, I know my grandfather and your grandfather, okay, but it doesn't mean you're getting the big job, right? So there's a certain time limit, whatever it is. After a while, it kind of simply wears away. We are asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu to help us because of Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, thousands of years ago. Pretty amazing. So I think that implies 2 things we should reflect upon. Number 1, the chesed Hashem, which means Hashem obviously operates in a way one could not expect. If it was a normal human relationship, we would expect, only a certain limited, benefit we get from that relationship. By HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's, Elef Dor, so to say. It goes back, way back into time. And also, it makes sense that if, you have a relationship with someone, that person will help you if you continue in that relationship. But let's say you disavow that relationship, you reject that relationship. So your grandfather, to help this guy out, I didn't really like my grandfather. So you're going to lose the connection. And I think the same plays out in terms of our relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which means to say that if we say, Zocher Chasdei Avos, and we recognize that Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov lived a certain type of life, Torah, mitzvah, chesed, commitment, the greatest commitment. They're willing to sacrifice their lives, right, for Avodas Hashem. And we say we value that, even though we're not on their level. Okay, so then it's legitimate to hopefully expect that maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu will remember us and take care of us because we're tying into that relationship. But if a person rejects it, either philosophically or they reject it through their action, that's not for me. So the answer is we're breaking that relationship, which gets back to this whole idea of tshuva. So I think the whole idea of Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur is to bring about a reconciliation with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I think the mechitza, if you will, the dividing part oftentimes is our own egocentricity, is our own sense of self-worth, and if we can, work on that and recognize that. And one of the tools is someone embarrasses us and someone disses us, we don't go crazy. We say, what, A, maybe I deserve it, or B, what, I really don't care. If I'm right, then I'm right. And I really don't factor in my behavior based upon social factors, and we begin to act properly based upon what we know to be true, based upon our Masorah, based upon the Torah, then hopefully we'll bring about a reconciliation in our relationship with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it'll be a very meaningful Yom HaRaim. So wishing all the Ksiva P'sim Tova, enjoy your lunch.